Hey guys, this is Dennis Brown with FreightBrokerBootcamp.com, and I decided to shoot this quick video because a while back I had a webinar, and it was a very successful webinar. It was titled "The Top 10 Mistakes to Avoid When Starting Your Freight Brokerage or Freight Agency." And I've been asked to do that webinar time and time again, and I haven't had an opportunity to do it. But I wanted to share some of that information with you guys. So I'm going to shoot a series of videos. I'm going to shoot 10 videos. This is the first in the series. And I'm going to shoot those and I'm going to share those through my YouTube channel. And so you guys can consume some of that content and information and learn from that, as you go. And so, you know, it was a very successful webinar. We had over 300 people on there. It had rave reviews. I was excited to do it, and I'm excited to share this information with you today. So one of the biggest mistakes as we dive right into this that I see freight brokers and freight agents making when they first get started is not finding a niche. They try to be everything to everybody. They chase all kinds of different freight, whether it be van, flatbed, reefer, produce, steel, food, whatever it is. They try to chase it based on any lanes, any type of freight. It's almost like they're desperate. All right. And that desperation causes them to waste a lot of time, because jack of all trades and master of none in this business equals failure, in my opinion. If you try to become everything to everybody, you will fail long term. So what I promote, what I teach, and what I suggest, and not only what I suggest, but what I did myself when I started my freight brokerage back in 2003, was I focused in on a niche. And so some of the ways that you can figure out your niche is by equipment. So you can look at equipment types. Maybe you want to focus in on flatbed freight because you have some relationships with flatbed carriers and that'll be your foundation. Or maybe it's vans. Maybe it's refrigerated trailers, reefers. Maybe it's RGN or heavy haul, something like that. You can focus in on equipment. That's one way to kind of figure out your niche. Another way is to focus in on specific products or verticals or industries. A lot of guys like to move produce. It's very seasonal, but it can be very high paying. Steel, there's a lot of steel, plastic, bottled beverages, different heavy equipment that needs to be shipped. And so you can sometimes focus in on a product or an industry or a vertical. That's another way to try to figure out your niche. Another way that is very successful because it defines your lanes is geography. I'm based out of the Northeast, but you can move freight anywhere in the country. Maybe you want to focus in on Texas outbound freight or Chicago outbound freight or something that's lane specific. Maybe even it's cross-border freight from the U.S. to Canada or the Canada to U.S. These are just examples. So when I got started, I included the hybrid of 1 through 3 because I did more of a hybrid when I first got started. I was based out of the Northeast. We knew carriers out of the Northeast. So what I focused in on was Northeast outbound van freight. That's where we started. Now we expanded on that over time, but that's where we started. If it picked up in New York or PA or Mass or Connecticut or New Jersey, the Northeast region, and it was van freight and it was either going west or south, that's what we focused in on. We had a great carrier base. We knew the rates. We knew capacity. We knew the lanes. All we needed to do was find some shippers that had a need. And at that point, we weren't going to have a problem covering that freight at a very competitive rate. So that's how I started. That's what I suggest you do, is find your niche before you start chasing all kinds of different freight. Now, it's okay to try some different niches and test, but eventually you're going to have to find your niche. And once you start getting comfortable with that, good at that, and you start honing in on that and really starting to make some money, you can always expand on that niche. We went from vans and then we started doing refrigerated freight, and then we moved from refrigerated freight to flatbed freight and then to heavy haul. So now my company does all those things, and yours can too over time. But I strongly suggest you focus in on a niche when you're first getting started. And so stay tuned for some other videos, because I'm going to be sharing the other 9 mistakes here in some videos. So what I suggest is subscribe to this channel, and you will get notified of those new videos. Another thing that I want to offer you guys is we have just for watching this, I'm going to offer you guys a bonus just for watching. I wrote an ebook a while back. It's called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Freight Brokers. And it's been downloaded over 5,000 times. It has rave reviews. I'm very proud of it. And it's yours for free. Just go to freightbrokerbootcamp.com, www.freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Check it out. Download it. It's free. It costs you nothing. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, subscribe to the channel if you would like to get notified of the next 9 videos that I'm going to be sharing over the next several weeks. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon.